So, welcome everyone to tonight's Innovate and Advance series. It's a series on trailblazing women in AI. And when I think of trailblazing, I can think of only one person, the one and only Noelle Russell, who will be speaking to us today on empowering inclusive innovation with ethical AI, nurturing creativity, and protecting humanity. I'm so excited to host this session alongside Uvika, and we're thrilled to have you join us for this powerful conversation on innovation, creativity, and responsible AI. So here's how the evening will flow. Uvika will introduce Noelle, followed by the much-awaited presentation. After that, we'll open the floor for Q&A. So please drop your questions in the chat. And Noelle, I'm not sure, do you want questions to come along during the presentation or
Yeah,
just...
sure. I'm all for it. Yeah, you can
Okay.
send them along during. We'll keep time after.
All
I think
right,
it's my favorite part.
yeah, so if you could keep yourself on mute, and when you have a question, unmute yourself, that would be great. And with that, I'll hand it over to Uvika to take this forward. Thanks.
Yay! Thank you so much, Padmini. And as Padmini said, I'm absolutely thrilled and honestly over the moon to introduce someone who does not need any introduction. So just a fun fact for you. Some of you have recently met Noelle, but I actually met Noelle last year. And I have to admit that I've been following her for more than a year before that, learning from her insights, watching her lead with brilliance, and actually being inspired by her work. And now it's hard to put into words how proud I feel to call her not just a colleague in this space, but one of our biggest supporters, a true friend, and a mentor whose guidance means the world to me. And so if you don't know Noelle, let us just talk about, some of the cool things that she's done. So she is a multi-award winning technologist, an acclaimed keynote speaker, and the founder and chief AI officer at the AI Leadership Institute. She has led transformative tech teams at NPR, Microsoft, IBM, AWS, Amazon, Alexa, Accenture, and the list goes on, bringing innovation to the forefront everywhere she goes. And I mean it everywhere. She's a four-time, well, Noelle is now fifth-time Microsoft MVP for responsible AI and was also named the #1 agentic leader in 2025. And she also received the VentureBeat's Women in AI Responsibility and Ethics Award. Her mission is one that we all deeply admire, making AI both ethical and accessible. Through her work and her I Love AI community, she empowers professionals and leaders with the skills they need to navigate this exciting, evolving landscape with responsibility and vision. And tonight, we get to learn from someone who truly champions inclusivity, leads with integrity, and truly embodies the limitless possibilities of human AI collaboration. So please give us give Noelle a warm welcome. And she is amazing. Noelle, the floor is yours.
Amazing. Yay. Thank you. I'm like, awesome. So nice to have you all. Thank you for being here. I wanted to use, the time today. Many of you know me and have heard me speak before. So I thought I would share with you some of the things that I've recently been thinking a lot about. There's been a lot of we've had some very interesting conversations in our community. But one of the things that I thought would be interesting is just to take you through some of the evolution of thought that I've had and how this has served me well in my career. So for those of you who don't know, my journey into artificial intelligence started about over 10 years ago now. I was an early member of Amazon Alexa. I got a chance to build some of the early applications for Amazon Alexa. Alexa is going through a bit of a interesting period right now as they throw away the old and bring in Anthropic as a new model. And it's an interesting time for me because, there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in those models. And they're going away now. And a lot of those people don't even work there anymore. So it's not like, it's not hurting anyone, but it is an interesting, like this transition, I call it chemicalization, this kind of like disintegration of old and recreation of something new. It's easy to think, it's easy to think I'm a victim in this, right? Like my world is dying and this new world is created and what is my space in it? But what I've uncovered over the last decade is literally that my perspective is critical in these conversations and in these rooms. And I think the same is true for all of us. This is why I was so excited. You know, I remember the day that Padmini and Uvika had the idea. Well, I'm sure you guys had this idea. I remember the day they shared with me the idea about this community and how worried you all were that people wouldn't join or that it wouldn't get very big. And how I just know from my own lived experience that we feel very alone most of the time in our career when we are this like lone voice of reason. We have these ideas of things to do, things to say. And this is not a gender thing. This is just like people want to do good things. Like you're in the office and you're like, okay, so I hear you saying that we shouldn't do that. But many times we're the only one, or at least we think we're the only one that thinks that way. And so throughout my career, I've just been this, I've felt this like aloneness. And that's why, you know, I created the I Love AI community, because I wanted to draw people that were like me into a room. And even if we didn't work in the same company, at least we could hang out on a Friday, which is why we do our calls on Friday. And I could just be like, okay, everything's right with the world. You know, I'm not alone. I'm not crazy. I'm not, you know, like my safe, responsible, ethical perspectives. I'm not alone in this. And so I think that's the one thing that I'm absolutely just honored to be here, honored to be part of this community. And I mean, you've had just incredible speakers, many of them extremely practical. I'll give you some practical tips today. But most of this will be hopefully a story that I can share with you about how to continue to do things that are very, very hard in your work. So I at Amazon Alexa, I again was early member of that team. I was the only woman for a couple of years, the only mom, the only caregiver. And in that journey, really learned that my unique perspective, how very different it was from everyone else's. So I think it was 2014. I wanted to, you know, Jeff Bezos came in and wrote on a whiteboard and said, here's all the apps I want you guys to build for Alexa before we launch. And we launched in November of 2014. So this is like summer 2014. Here's all the apps we want you to launch. And it was like workout apps and like nutrition apps and music apps and measurement apps. And none of that really spoke to me as a mom, as a caregiver, as just a cool person. Like I just didn't want to build that stuff. So I remember asking at an all hands meeting, asking if I could build something other than what was on that list. And I remember everyone kind of looking at me like, you're so much trouble, Noelle. Like, why do you have to be this person? And I was like, I just don't like none of that resonates with me. And it's funny because people would be like, what does resonating with you have to do with it? Like it's your job. You just build. And I was like, I just don't want to build stuff I don't believe in. So I did get permission to build, but they didn't let me build those apps on work time. I had to build off hours, which now I realize is a thing for women in tech. Like we get permission to do cool, crazy things, but they often won't pay us to do that. They're like, do it at night, do it on the weekend. I just was at an amazing women's conference called Avixa. They're a company in the AV space, another male-dominated technology space. And I was the keynote speaker at their women's breakfast. And it was interesting because I was speaking about my experience being a woman in AI and a woman in tech, and it resonated with them. But what I realized is that breakfast was at 7:45 in the morning. And that was interesting to me because we were before everything started. So they weren't getting paid to be there. Just like my story was saying, like we were there at 7:45. The men were still sleeping or having coffee or like hanging out. Like, and we were at work, you know, like trying to connect and network. And I just thought it was such an interesting kind of systemic acceptance that it was okay for us to get up earlier than everyone else and meet before everyone else so that we would have that time and that we were grateful for it. But in my mind, I was like, this isn't right because the men get to meet at 1 o'clock and then do tea, like they get tea times and go golfing. Like, I don't know. So this brought me to this like realization that I think, you know, I mean, all of you probably know this, but being a diverse thinker in the workforce, in the workplace, it can be very challenging. So I decided to build my own skills. For those of you who don't know, I built the mindfulness category on Alexa back before anyone thought it was cool or thought it would be a good idea. As a matter of fact, I got lots of resistance to building it. Mindfulness turned into wellness. So I built over 100 applications. This was back in 2014, 2015. I built mindfulness, meditation, kindness, Christmas kindness, couples kindness. You get the idea. Like corporate kindness, all these random acts of kindness skills. And I was doing that because I had kids and I wanted my kids to talk to Alexa and I wanted them to hear good things. And I also did it because of me. I went to Mind Valley this last week. I was invited to speak at this Mind Valley conference, which is all about personal development. And it's what I want to share with you today is this realization that I had in this connection between knowing ourselves and the work that we do in artificial intelligence. And this, I think, is why I'll call it successful in the early days of Alexa, because I've always been very sure about what I wanted, and I've always been very unyielding. So if somebody's like, you can't do that, I'd be like, well, why don't we figure out how I could do it? Maybe I don't do it on your time. Maybe I do it for free. Maybe I do it on the weekend. But it's not a no. It's kind of like, how do we figure this out? That's why I call myself an AI solution architect. Like I look at a problem and I don't look at it like, oh, I can't do this. I'm like, how do I solve for this problem? And so that approach to life got me to the point where I built over 100 skills for Alexa, but it also became very attractive to Microsoft as they invited me to come and help launch Microsoft Cognitive Services. That was in like 2017, again, before all the wonderfulness that we are experiencing now in AI. However, it was precursor. And I will tell you, in both of those scenarios, a lot of people were invited to join these teams. And a lot of people, specifically women, said no. And I don't know why every woman said no, but I remember on Alexa, I went around to every woman I knew and I was like, this is amazing. We're going to teach machines to talk. We as women need to be there. And all sorts of excuses. I just got a promotion. I really like my boss. I like all these things. And this is a trajectory changing moment for them. Like if they'd said yes and they joined Alexa with me, their life, like mine, took a totally different path and everything got better. Like I was at the head of the curve. But they all said no. I was the only one who ended up going of my crew that I was trying to bring along with me. And what I realized like a few years after I guess maybe when I started at Microsoft, I realized that all those reasons that the people said no, people I wanted to join me, all those reasons were gone. The manager they loved no longer worked there. In many cases, as soon as they got promoted, their manager left. The team that they were loyal to got disbanded. Like all the things that kept them from saying yes to this pivotal, important moment in their career, it ended up not being so important a few years later. And so this gave me a lot of introspection as I started to get opportunities that I wanted to be extremely receptive. When someone came to me, I really didn't want my first inclination to be no, even though that's what they tell me. I mean, everyone tells me I should always say no first. And even to this day, I probably should say no more. But I always say yes. And I say yes because I want to just be open and receptive to these experiences. So I said yes to Microsoft. I ended up joining the Microsoft team when we were just launching Cognitive Services. It's where I got my little baby tiger analogy because I was in charge of 17 research models and everyone was super excited about it. And only a few of us, there was probably 400 people on that team, maybe a handful of us would sit and have lunch together and be like, are we sure this isn't going to hurt anybody? Like, who's gonna, like it's literally this little group who we never could speak out in meetings. We would just talk to each other and be like, should we do something? Should we say something? Should we write an email? I don't know many of you know this story, but I eventually, at the end of my time at Microsoft, I Jerry Maguired it. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, but I wrote a memo. I was ultimately fired for that memo. I was concerned about some of the behavior and some of the decisions that were being made by leadership. It was me, female, all men above me. Not that men are bad, but like there was no diversity of thought above my level. And I was very concerned about that. But more importantly, I was concerned because they were not concerned about the models that we were building and the outcomes that they were generating. And I was like, okay, so I made a mistake and I told those people, in this memo, I sent it to Satya Nadella. I sent it to his direct, Scott Guthrie. I sent it to Scott's direct, which was Eric Boyd. I sent it to like the whole chain. And I think it took 4 hours, and I was escorted from the building like a criminal, which I've now realized is actually a bit of a like wonderful moment. Apparently, a lot of people, a lot of ethicists get escorted from the building like a criminal. So I felt like I had made it to some degree, but that moment really taught me that, like, you know, I love Hamilton. I don't know how many of you know that, but I love the Broadway musical Hamilton. And there's this whole Hamilton Burr thing happening throughout the entire musical. And I remember I was like, I don't want to be that guy, that person who's like, I'm just going to go with the flow. I'm just going to find the right opportunity. At IBM, they called them coasters. Like, you just coast and you enjoy your life, you get a good salary, and you just coast with stuff. We were building technology that, from my experience, could unlock everything for the people I cared about most. My son who has Down syndrome, my dad who has a traumatic brain injury. I'm like, this is the technology that will unlock everything for them, but not if we build it the way that we're building it. Like, we have to build it in a different way. So that's why I got involved in building safe and responsible AI. It's very personal to me. I do think that that's part of what makes a lot of us that are in this field and are ethicists and activists in this area, we take it very personally because it is personal. Like, the humans in our lives are affected by this. I think that's why people like Satya Nadella, I don't know if you know, but he had a son with significant special needs who passed away a couple years ago. And it brings a totally different perspective to the work you do. And I'm very grateful right now that we have someone like that at the head of Microsoft right now. Because if it was somebody else, I don't know how well we would be doing. But we have someone like that. And Jensen Huang, same thing. He climbed from the bottom to the top. Like, he has this ethics of, like, he used to say in his all hands, Jensen's the CEO of NVIDIA, if you're not familiar. But he would say, I've cleaned more bathrooms than everyone in this company. And that was like a testament to, like, I know what it takes from the bottom to the top. And I think that means something. So as leaders, and this is why I started earlier with, like, it's my responsibility to get to know everyone, like, that I don't ever, you know, just talk to people that are leaders, or only talk to CEOs and CTOs, or only, you know, talk to founders that have made over $1 million. Like, I think there's so much value in actually letting everyone be heard and then being a vehicle for that. So I, over the last few weeks, of course, was an early tester of ChatGPT during COVID. So I'm on this list where I get to test out models before they come out, which is awesome. I'm not allowed to tell anyone I do that until it launches, but ChatGPT was one of them. GPT-5 just came out. It's with mixed reviews, but I still think it's awesome. I use it every single day. But I thought I would share with you a little bit of the lessons that we learned over that time in the next few minutes, and then see if you have any questions about that. How many of you are familiar with this paper called "Attention is All You Need"? Have you heard this before? Okay, a few of you. If not, thank you, Kim. You're so nice. Oh my gosh, Kim, are you in Brisbane? I can't. Yeah, you are, right? So I think I'm coming to Brisbane October 21st. I just got a request. Anyway, I know, right? Anyway, sorry, I have to tell you. So I'll let you know when I'm there, which is, what are the odds of that? But when the request came in, I almost said no. I'm like, wait, does that say Brisbane? And I literally thought of you, Kim. I'm like, well, maybe I will go. But over the last few weeks, as we've launched, you know, we're approaching launch of GPT-5, a lot of questions came out, and attention is all you need. Yay, thank you. I was hoping you were going to do that, Padmini. Thank you. So that's the paper. This is the paper that started it all. So on stage, I often will ask people, do you even know what GPT stands for? And most people don't. You all do, because I've watched, or at least you would have had the opportunity, because many of the speakers before me have not only talked about GPT and its definition, but also more advanced use cases involved in that. So I won't define it. You could always go and find it out. But the last letter in GPT stands for transformer. And it was so revolutionary to me because I was on Alexa at the time that this released, and Alexa was the opposite of a transformer. We were manually building natural language models. We were using an intent-based system that was command and control. It was magical, but at the same time, it very broken. In hindsight, though, I actually think we were better off, because the model would never do anything unless you explicitly asked for what we told you to ask for. And there's a bit of security in that, right? When you build a model, it won't make anything up. It won't lie to you. It won't host an answer on a website and present it to you as fact, like it will just say that I don't know how to do that. And so Alexa was predisposed to declining to answer a question it was not like in machine learning, right? We were using supervised and unsupervised models. We were not using CNNs or any of these like neural networks. And so as a result of that, there was very declarative thresholds that we had to meet before an answer would be like, yes, we approve this answer to go to the public. That being said, I enjoyed it. I mean, it was a little frustrating because people were like, I asked in this slightly different way and it would break. And I'm like, oh, I never thought you would say it that way. So I'd have to go and code it and make sure it accepted it. But this concept of a transformer, it unlocked the one thing that Alexa was really bad at. And it was a dream of Jeff Bezos to have Alexa become like your friend, right? That's why it was named after a human. Like it was very intentional. And it also hurt people, by the way, but it was very intentional because he wanted it to be a daily activity that you would talk to Alexa like your friend. And I will tell you, my dad, and Sherry probably could say as well, like my dad, who lives on the other side of this wall, he's still in the hospital. He comes home Saturday though, fingers crossed. But he lives on the other side of this wall. I could hear him and he would say things like, I love you, Alexa. Thank you so much, Alexa. I am so grateful for you, Alexa. And I mean, I don't know that he says that. I don't think he's ever said that to me. You know, like not that he doesn't want to, but it's so easy for him because he knows that Alexa's not going to say anything back. Like he's just this, and that's what I think AI offers, right? Is the ability to kind of create these systems. But this transformer model, the challenge Alexa has is that Alexa would not say anything back, but worse, it wouldn't even remember that it talked to him. So the next time he asked Alexa, like, "Hey Alexa, remember I was asking you what was that question?" He was asking how old Indiana Jones was. That's what his question was. How old is Indiana Jones? He was watching it, and of course Alexa doesn't know because it isn't Indiana Jones. Like that age is not documented. It's actually Harrison Ford who is really trying to figure out the age of, and he couldn't get there. So he just kept asking and asking and the good news about Alexa is that Alexa would consistently be like, sorry, man, I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry, I don't know. Sorry, I don't know. The voice never changed, never got aggravated, never got frustrated, never was like, for goodness sakes, man, I don't know what you're talking about. Like just continuously was super nice. But it never remembered. And even when he finally got it right one time, the very next time he asked that question, it didn't remember that he got it right. And so it was very frustrating building a system that never remembered anything anyone said. Because that's an expectation that if you get this false sense of companionship, that it would remember you, that it would know your name, it would know your birthday, it would know your favorite color, and that especially if you talk to it for years, that it would know something about you, and it knew nothing. So the transformer model, when it released, its job was to create this short-term memory system to allow models to just remember who you are. And so attention, and I was actually reading in a completely different non-technical book. I saw this statement and it stood out to me. I don't know if I have it with me, but it stood out to me. It said, the secret to success is attention. And I thought that that was really interesting because in AI, 100%, we would not have the success we have right now. I don't know if you know, but OpenAI just reached 700 million weekly users. 700 million, that's crazy. I don't even think we have 700 million Alexa users. I don't think we do. I think people have put her in a closet, sadly. I think we're declining in users, but 700 weekly, like that's crazy to get people to use a system every single day. And so attention, being able to remember who people are is incredibly important, which means that as you build solutions, right, as a solution architect, as an AI solution architect, that is the cornerstone of many of the use cases that I've built that have been very successful, is how do I make sure that when a user is trying to get something done, that not only do I do it, but I also, as part of that model, I build an SOP, right? That's what we do in business. If you're familiar with business, is the way that we document things so that we don't forget and we create repetition is we create a standard operating procedure. So anytime we have that question again, we use that operating procedure to repeat it. And that's exactly what we get the benefit of when we have a model that has the ability to preserve memory. Well, I don't know if you know, but in ChatGPT 5, one of the biggest features that they focused on was increase in memory size so that the context window would expand and you would be able to fill it with much more information. What I found to be a struggle is that we as humans using ChatGPT, we don't really understand how to provide the right context. So this is the challenge, and it is a direct mirror of us even knowing what we want ourselves, right? It's kind of a reflection of our own lack of clarity on what we want and what we want to build. So I was just, I shared with Padmini, I was on I think I was in the plane when I sent it to you, Padmini, but I get on the plane and somebody asked me, can you build an app gave me a bunch of requirements. And I was like, sure. I always say yes. I'm like, sure, I can. So I go and I vibe code with ChatGPT 5. Now I'm going to tell you exactly how I did it. So hopefully it'll be beneficial to you and you can do the same. I go to ChatGPT 5. I take these requirements. I ask it to help me flesh out the requirements, which is what we do as PMs. I don't know if any of you are in the PM world, but like people will tell you what they want, but even then they don't know what they want, right? Like that's the job of a PM, right? Is to go, hey, I know what you said, but let's just dig into that a little bit. So ChatGPT 5 is a great digger. It helps me flesh out these requirements. Then I asked ChatGPT 5 to write me a system prompt, a detailed system prompt to tell Lovable. I don't know if you know Lovable, but I'm a big fan. I mean, anything called Lovable, I can't help it. So I'm gonna take this system prompt and I'm gonna pass it to Lovable and have Lovable build me the application. So I flush out the requirements. I then ask it to build me a functional specification, which turns into my system prompt that I'm going to use. And I literally tell ChatGPT 5, hey, ChatGPT 5, I'm going to be putting this in Lovable. So I need you to write it in a way that Lovable will be able to build the code. Because you can't just go to Lovable and be like, hey, build me an app. It's going to come back and ask you 500 questions about like what you want, what the mirror, like all the things, colors and sizes and resolutions and all these things that I don't have time for. So I ask ChatGPT, I know the requirements, and this is just so you know, I tell this to my kids too. I never really go to these models with a blank page. And I know that's a little contradictory to what most people tell you. They're like, get off the blank page, use AI to help you come up with the idea. I don't do that. I always have the idea first, and I go to an AI system to help me clarify, right? Flesh out the requirements. I start first with my vision, and then I use ChatGPT to help me like create this. I mention this because recent research just came out of MIT that corroborates research from Meta 5 years ago that says that your brain activity actually decreases as you use these tools. They call it synaptic atrophy. So basically, if you go to a model and say, hey, I'm thinking about a business, can you help me come up with a business idea? Instead of you saying, hey, I've got a business idea, can you help me flesh out the business plan? Two very different questions, right? And so be very, very careful about how much you're willing to give to an AI system, meaning how much creativity do you want it to have? Will it do it for you? Absolutely. Will it give you a good idea you can run with? Absolutely. But what do you lose? And you don't lose it immediately. It is a slow curve, a slow death. And so the research at Meta was a long time ago, 6 years ago now. The research at Meta was a predictive text model. They gave predictive text, which you all have seen right on iPhones and stuff. They gave predictive text to users, 600 people, for 6 months. And they let you use predictive text, and they're like, oh, brilliant. It says fantastic. So I'm just going to choose it. Predicted how they would end and respond to people for 6 months. They then took that model away, and the people did not go back to their original way of answering things. They continued to answer things in alignment with the way the model had trained them to respond. And this, I think, surprised the users themselves, because when they were asked who was in control, were you training the model or was the model training you? They all 100% said, I'm the one making the decision. I'm choosing which predictive text to use. When the reality is that their brain was slowly but surely, and this is what we do as humans, we're like, well, why do I even have to think about that if I don't have to think about that? And so without their knowledge, they kind of drifted away from the truth. And so Meta did that research 6 years ago, and then MIT just did another study, but on ChatGPT specifically. And it said, and it's very, very clear, if you do not come with a mission, a purpose, a desire, that's why we have 5 principles of prompt engineering. And the very first one is purpose. And we define that. We come to it with, what do we want you to do for me? And that first step is so critical for so many reasons. But one, because our brain will slowly die if we don't. So don't do that. But this concept of this transformer, it really did change. I mean, it changed everything. It allowed us all to be here today talking about generative AI the way we are and building it. So I want to give you just 3 different ways of thinking about attention. One, of course, is through models. So I framed it in 3 different ways, and maybe they're in an order for a reason. I'm so glad we have lovable fans. It's my new favorite tool. I built this entire app in like an hour and a half, and then I got crazy. So, I mean, I just asked, I said, hey, I want, when you finish a goal, I want confetti to show up on the screen. Have you seen that when confetti goes, ksh? Literally, all I said was, I want confetti. And it was like, no problem. And now when I clutch the confetti shows up. I was like, this is amazing. I don't have to write that code ever again. Like, this is amazing. Anyway, so all you dream it, and now these machines can do it, but you just don't want the machine to dream on your behalf. So the first thing, the first piece of attention actually is actually paying attention to what you want. I think having attention on what you want, clarity of thought, your desire to build something, your desire to bring something into the world. Like this person is a coach, and he's like, I really want a tool that's going to help my students do better work. And so he gave me a bunch of requirements, and I built out this tool to help him help his people. And the cool thing about that is right now he's been doing it on pen and paper, and he like prints off PDF pieces of paper and he hands it to people. And he's like, but man, wouldn't it be cool if they like clicked and said, I did 6 sales calls today, and confetti like shows up. Like there's so much cool experiences that we can offer them. But the funny thing is that he's technical. He built web apps for most of his career. But he literally said to me, I cannot do this. I don't know what it is, but I can't vibe code. I can't build an app. And I think this is true of much of the world, that even if they can, they will opt themselves out, just like those women who would not join Alexa with me. They will just say, I can't do it for whatever reason. And that's why I don't think, I don't know, I'm not too concerned about ever like job security, right? I don't think AI is going to completely replace all of us doing this work right now, because humans are human, and they're not going to want to do this work, and they're not going to even want to talk to a machine. So that first thing is being the one in the room that knows what you want, knows what the team wants, right? That's a service that I offer to the Alexa team. Is I was like, let me just help you all uncover the mission we're on right now. And that is we call it the glue that holds everyone together. TPMs, project managers. But that's that first piece, like attention, paying attention, very, very specifically paying attention to what we want. And I don't mean what we want personally, but yes, but personally, professionally. I have I don't know if you could see it. No, you can't. But I have this like wheel over here. It's got 10 different things that I want, right? Spirituality, wellness, health, finance, family, business. And on it, my husband and I both wrote all the things that we want in our life. And my job is to maintain that clarity as I build systems and solutions, right? So that I only take on clients that are getting me closer to those goals, that are getting me closer to the things that I want. Without that clarity, we end up building nonsense for people. And right now it's incredibly important. So the first thing, pay attention to what you want. The second thing, which hopefully you'll like, is draw attention to your ideas. And this is the complement of, if you know what you want and you develop clarity of thought, you're going to be a better prompt engineer. You're going to be able to tell a machine to help you do that thing much more clearly. And I demonstrated that on a plane, and I was like, wow, this thing is pretty good. I'll send it to y'all if you want to test it out. You can be my beta testers. But it was very clear to me that without understanding what I wanted, I could see where people would lose their mind building in a tool like Lovable, because it's very hard to build something meaningful unless you have extreme clarity. The second thing, though, is being able to now, once I build that thing, draw attention to what I'm building, right? I think I wrote it down as like, draw attention to who you are and what you're doing. This means you actually have to get out there. And I'm just telling you this because I am in the world of AI. I share stages with people, and not everyone knows what they're talking about. Like anyone can get up and be like, I'm an AI expert today. And what I feel differentiates us is our receipts, is the work that we do. And here's the good news, is it's not receipts for other people, it's receipts for ourselves. Like, I just built this app for this. He might never use it. He might think it's awful. but I feel pretty accomplished having like completely architected this application against these, business requirements that were pretty weak. I was like, this is pretty awesome. I will proudly share that with people. If somebody was like, hey, have you built something recently? I'd be like, here's the app I built. These repetitions are incredibly important. And so today I always tell people that known beats best. And what that means is that people who are loud will always outshine people who are smart. And it stinks because I'm used to be one of those smart, quiet people who was just like, my work will stand for itself. Um, and it does kind of, but not to the degree. And I actually think it's a disservice for us to sit quietly and let other people who are not as good as what we do get the credit, or better yet, serve our customers, right? So I'm a big believer now that people that we're trying to serve, like, it is our responsibility to actually tell them that we can help them. And the number one skill you're going to need to do that is to actually draw attention to yourself. And I don't know, I'm not going to say it's a woman thing. It's just a me thing, maybe, is I struggle drawing attention to myself. I mean, people celebrate it, I guess. They're like, you're so humble. I'm like, I just don't like to say anything. Like, I want to sit next to someone and them not think I'm special, right? I just want to be one of the people, like, with everybody. It makes me a little uncomfortable when my NPR fam was like, you're one of them now, you're a leader now. Or these people at Mind Valley were like, oh, you're an author. And I was like, what does that have to do with anything? And they treated me differently. I don't like that. But I realized that that is where influence is. And that is where the power to actually change the world in a positive way, that's where it's at. And so first, understanding and paying attention to what you want, and then drawing attention to who you are and what you stand for. I think these are two critical parts to actually building AI solutions that scale. Because if you have a great idea and no one ever knows that it's a great idea, it'll never see the light of day. No one will adopt it. No one will pay for it. It will require you saying it out loud in a compelling, exciting, enthusiastic way. I mean, that's why I do what I do. I was not born this way. I became good at this because I'll tell you candidly, because my son was born. When my son was born with Down syndrome, everything changed. I was like, I now need to have conversations I never thought I would have. I'm going to talk to people I never thought I'd talk to. I'm going to run marathons I never thought I would run. Like, I've done things I never thought I would want to do in my life. And as a matter of fact, I didn't even want to do them most times. But I did it because my mission is bigger. I want a world that welcomes him. And that is more important than my comfort. And that's what I mean when I say you draw attention to you're going to need to draw attention to your ideas, because if you don't, no one will. And a lot of people out there are talking and they really need to hear your voice. And then the final one, of course, is keeping, so pay attention to what you want, draw attention to what you're building, but then keep attention. And this is where we get to like the attention driven model thing, where the most important thing you can do is build either a business if you're an entrepreneur, or you can build either, whether you're an entrepreneur building a business or you're building a practice. It could be stakeholders inside the company, but you want to be able to maintain those connections. And the best way to do that is to actually just pay attention to the people you connect with. I mean, so many times, I don't know, I meet people all the time and they're shocked that they're like, you remember my name? I'm like, of course I remember your name. Or they ping me on LinkedIn. I recognized a woman who pinged me on LinkedIn before I showed up at Mind Valley. And I was like, Sherry or whatever. It wasn't Sherry, but it was like a different name. And she was like, you remember me? And I was like, well, I mean, you pinged me on LinkedIn. She goes, you read LinkedIn? And I was like, yes. It's such a unique thing that you can do that's so very easy to just let other people feel heard. And in the world of AI, this feeling of human connection will become an extremely valuable skill of just letting people feel seen, because AI at the end of the day does not see people, right? Like, it's going to mimic them. And in a companionship, it's not terrible at first when you're like, wow, this model says everything I want it to say to me. That's awesome. But when you actually have a friend, like I feel like having Padmini and Uvika and everyone and Sherry and all of you all, I mean, some of you I don't know, but but we hang out on Fridays intentionally. Like, there is no AI that can replace that kind, like these meetings that you all have. There's no AI that replaces that. But when your customers feel like you know who they are, that you remember them, that you paid attention to the fact that they have two kids and that they, have a child with Down syndrome, or that they, just got laid off a few months ago, and you come up and you put a hand on their shoulder and ask, like, is everything okay? Is there anything I can do? Can I help at all? When you remember who they are and you acknowledge them, like that is where my biggest contracts have come from, is not from people being like, hey, I saw you on Instagram. Like, they're from people who have known me a really long time and have realized that I am consistently interested in their success. And there's a guy, his name's Zig Ziglar. Do you know this guy? He's a sales guy. He said, he has a quote, and I'll butcher it because I always mess up. There's actually a word for what I do where I take two people's quotes and I push them together. For years, I said, kick the gift horse in the mouth. And that's not the saying. I'm just going to tell you all. But my son corrected me, and I was like, you're right. That's not the saying. But so I'm going to do my best. But he basically was like, the best way to make money is to help other people get what they want. It sounds much better. I think he's like, the best way to get what you want is to help other people get what they want. And that's how I live my life. I have a mantra that says, I nourish the world and the world nourishes me, but it's not always linear. And it's actually never linear. And if I count on it to be linear, everything kind of falls apart. Like, where I'm like, I gave this to you because I'm expecting you to give to me. And so these are like, and I know like this isn't super techy, but literally these are the core values that seep into every big deal I've ever closed. I did over $300 million in revenue in 9 months at Accenture. I did $2 billion at Microsoft over 2 years. And every one of those deals, those people were looking me in the face and being like, whatever it is, I just want to work with you. I just want to be in the room where you are. Like, you're excited and happy and you care about us as a company. You care about our outcomes. And so the AI part is kind of easy from, like, in my opinion, because as long as you do that first one, right? You pay attention to what people want. Like, you build what they want. You generate that clarity. So it sounds, I don't know. Sometimes people are like, I expect you to tell me what prompt to use. You can join. I'm sure you do that in this community. You can certainly join. I did start a new thing where I'm going to try and put prompts that I use prompts all day long. And I was like, I should put these in the community so people know what I do all day. So I started doing that. And I'm going to give you a couple tips for just getting the word out about who you are. So I have 30 questions that I was given recently from a journalist. 30 questions. And it was funny. He was like, just get a microphone. He's like, you don't even have to plug it in. He's like, just get a microphone and then look like this. Like, not, just like I'm talking to somebody else over here. He's like, just record answering these 30 questions. And it's stuff like, what do you do? Why are you involved in this? Why do you care about these things? And it was so cool because I already knew the answers to all the questions. And I think you all would too. You would see it. And if not, it might be good for you to go through them and get answers to those questions. But that's the kind of, those answers are what people are looking for when they're trying to find someone to work with. It's not, do you know the best model? It's not like, I have a bad experience recently that is the opposite of that, but it's typically not, do you know the best model? Are you familiar with all the right tools? It's like, are you someone I can trust with my business? And these 3 attention pieces are what has helped me do that. Now, I will tell you though, that last piece of attention where you basically keep attention on the people, I use AI for a lot of that, right? So I do use AI to grab people who say, hey, I want to work with you, Noelle, who I have like Talkadot, right? I don't know how many of you know that, but Talkadot is a speaker tool. And so I just did a talk. I think I had over 120 people respond to my little QR code. And then it automatically says, hey, thanks for, giving Noelle feedback. Here's the bonus. But it's like a sequence of 3 emails that I don't write. Like I wrote, but I don't send, right? It's automated. So I use technology to help me do these things. But just like that MIT and Facebook meta study said, like, I'm not using AI to originate these ideas. I'm using it to help me expand what I can do, to accelerate my capability. At Microsoft, the AI organization, their mission, it's to basically amplify human ingenuity. That was what our motto was. our job as we build AI is to amplify human ingenuity. And this was in 2018. It's still the same today. They don't say it as much anymore as they used to, but I definitely feel that way today. Like, how do I use AI to amplify the humans that I'm helping, as opposed to completely eliminate tasks? Like, I don't even focus on tasks. And I think Padmini and Uvika, you both know this too, but I do what's called an AI impact assessment when I go into a company, and I will just look at the humans who do the work and then find out what makes them sad. And then I will create AI systems that replace those bad parts. And that's it. And that's where I would say, I don't know, 75% of companies, right now, that's where they're at. Is, can you help me with AI? Sure. Show me what you do right now, and I will just fix your broken parts. And there's so much broken in most companies right now that you don't have to replace things. You don't have to replace people. You could just make people happy by fixing what they're frustrated with all day long. So hopefully I appreciate my little attention, is all you need. And of course, I'm doing my best. I have been up for 22 hours, so it's fine. But I hope you enjoyed it. And yes, like I said, you all have plenty of deep technical talks. You can, of course, listen to me do technical live learning labs all the time. But this is how I run my business. It's how I've gained my success. And so I wanted to share. And I've never shared it with anyone, so I wanted to give it to you all. So
Amazing.
As always, Noelle, you are fabulous. You are fabulous. I was telling Padmini, it was like, we never get, I mean, you are just like amazing.
I know. So Padmini and Uvika probably, and Sherry have probably heard me speak the most. And every time I'm like, they're like, how did I not know that?
Oh my
And
God.
Noelle, every single
yes.
time I learn something from, I mean, even if I
Yes.
listen to you every single day, I learn something new every single time. And today it
Oh
was
my
like,
gosh.
pay attention to what people want, draw attention to what you build, and keep attention on who you build for. That's amazing.
Yes. Oh, it's
Super.
amazing.
I love that.
Noelle, this audience needs to know that Mind Valley, you too were a yoga instructor
Oh,
in
yeah.
your teens. In your teens. So Mind Valley experts have
100%.
nothing on you, have zip
So
on you.
I'm so glad you said that, actually, because one of the things that made it was such a weird scenario to be at Mind Valley. Mind Valley is all about like presence and personal development and spirituality and yes, and it's fascinating. So meditation,
Oh,
mindfulness.
yeah.
But I was raised in a church called Unity. It's a Christian faith, but very East meets West kind of religion, but it's Christian, Bible based. But I was raised in this anyway. So I'm talking to Vishen in a meeting, and he is the CEO of Mind Valley. We're talking over breakfast, and I tell him this, and he's like, "What did you say?" I'm like, "Yeah, I grew up in a church called Unity, but it has a lot of the same philosophies as Mind Valley," which is really surprising to me. And he's like, "Unity is like our core value at Mind Valley." And I was like, "Oh, but you never know these things, right? Like, this is like weird, like synchronicity things that happen." But I get on stage and I do my normal keynote. But what I say to them, and they just hear it different because they're in a different space. But I tell them, like, it is so important for you to have clarity in who you are in order to build machines that will be clear in delivering value, right? And what they heard when I got off stage, they were like, "Oh my gosh, the fact that you said that we have to develop, internal personal clarity in order to build external clarity in machines." And I was like, "Yes, that's exactly what I mean." It wasn't exactly what I thought I was saying, but it's so cool, no matter what room. That's why I encourage you to just start talking, like just share your message, because what it meant to you, the exact experience you had when you share it with someone, it's going to touch people in ways that you never imagined. And I had, so needless to say, Mind Valley is big in my family because I'm not that, I never was involved in it, but my mom, my dad, all of my family, when they found out I was going to Mind Valley, it was like I had made it. And I don't know if you know, I'm a twin, and my brother is the creative director at the Sphere in Vegas. So I'm always fighting to be like, "No, I do cool stuff. No, I'm cool." And then this was like for 45 seconds, they were like, "Noelle, you're kind of cool." I'm like, oh, and just fun fact, I think I hit 35,000 views of my TED Talk. So Yeah, we'll see. It's only been out for a couple weeks, so we're trying to
Oh
hit
my
100K.
God, amazing.
Yeah, but it's got a
Amazing.
bad title. It's like it's got the word inclusion in it, Sherry.
Oh, no.
Uh,
Oh no.
So that'll kill a good talk anytime.
oh boy.
But I'm still excited. It's very good. I guess I got a little emotional at the end. So my husband's like, "Oh my gosh, it sounds like you're about to cry at the end." But you guys saw it. A couple of you saw it. But yeah,
Yeah.
so thank you. So any
It
questions?
was
Yeah, it was
lovely.
TEDx Boston, exactly. But any questions, comments? I would love your perspectives. I don't know, are we done? Oh, we got a couple minutes, but
Yeah.
happy to answer questions or hear your perspectives.
Guys, questions. It's not every day Noelle comes here.
Hi,
No, I
Tanya.
just I have a comment because I think the thing that I love about several people in the group, Noelle, Padmini, Uvika, Evan, and I'm sure that there's other people that I don't know. It's just the extreme generosity that you have. And I learned a long time ago in life that just being generous, just be generous to be generous, not to be generous to get back, but just be generous because there's so much treasure and value in other people. And I think, I think you always get back, but maybe not in the same way that you gave out. And so I think your generosity and your love that you give people, and Uvika and Padmini and Evan, it's just like you guys are so generous with your knowledge, your information, your energy, your friendship. And I think it just draws people to you.
Yes, and just stay with it because sometimes we go through phases, you know? I think sometimes we're like, nobody like appreciates us. I mean, I don't know. I'm a mom of six, so that feeling comes and goes with dishes and
I
laundry.
know.
But I
God.
agree with you, Donna, 100%. Like it's so wonderful because I feel like, and Jill, I think you're one of those people too. Like we're like attracting people that are just as we learn, we're teaching other people, and there's no like quid pro quo. There's no like it's not transactional. It's just because we're literally trying to raise up a generation of people that need to be part of this conversation, and that
Thank you.
it's beautiful. So I agree with you. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah, thank you so
congratulations.
much,
Thank
I
you for the
Donna.
kind words. I had to go off camera because I was tearing.
Well,
Everybody knows that.
but Donna, actually, when we share, we also learn in the process,
Yeah.
right? It's so much of learning that happens in every conversation, every discussion. It's a chance to learn, a chance to share. So truly appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for the kind words. And it's just wonderful, knowing, as Padmini said, right? I feel that the brain expands, right? And you learn so much more. The experience is so much more positive, right?
Yes.
And the impact that we can have on people, it just makes us really happy. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you,
Thank you,
Sonia.
Tanya.
Yeah,
I'm so
yeah,
glad
thank
you're
you.
here. Yeah, I saw you say something earlier and oh yeah, there it was. Oh yes, that's right.
And we have 3 hands raised.
Oh, good. Yay.
Yes.
Zeba.
So Zeba goes first, I guess.
Yay. Thank you. Thank you, Noel, for this talk. I really, really liked it. Like, I think I have to write a post on this now.
Yes, good idea. Good idea. Because I haven't written anything. So good idea.
Yeah. My question is a bit like sort of a technical question. Like, I'm an engineer and I have that math brain. And I'm someone who believes firmly in things that if something scares you, then you need to learn it.
Yes.
And that's the same with AI, I feel, with a lot of other people. And
Yes.
as someone who's still learning the ropes of AI and exploring the world, how in depth do you like advise people to go in learning AI? Because it's very easy to get tangled up in math and statistics of things.
Yes. Yes.
So what is like your roadmap? Like if someone is like learning about AI, like what will be your advice on that?
Yes,
Love the
great
question.
question. I love this question. So I'm going to give you my philosophy, and it's very different. All of us learn differently, and so this is not a prescription for anyone. This is just what Noelle does. But one, I take the approach of 3 cloud providers. So I don't actually dive into NVIDIA like infrastructure, though. There's a lot of money to be had in that space if you want to go back and become a cloud architect. Like AI architecture, like hardcore NVIDIA, like chipset architecture, that's a really big space, but I don't do that. But Amazon, Microsoft, Google, I have a Google alert. And so every day I get updated, and that's how I find out about beta programs and things like that. So I get updated every single day. I get an alert that says, oh, like for example, Vertex AI just launched a new suite of tutorials. And so each one of those, I do dedicate time to keeping abreast of what features are coming out on those platforms. But again, that's also because my clients are on these platforms, so I want to make sure that I'm ahead of them. Um, but the other thing is that I don't like to necessarily, or I don't have time to necessarily just learn things to learn them. So I do tend to learn things in the context of problems that people might have. And so this is why GitHub is my friend. I will go to GitHub and I will search for, financial services. For example, Vertex AI. Because they just launched a bunch of tutorials. If you go to Vertex, they just launched this I think they called it agentic garden, which is beautiful. So they've got this agentic garden, which are a bunch of GitHub repos, and they've got a financial advisor, they've got a marketing agency, and inside of that, there's a lot of code in there. But I will gladly just kind of I'll let the business problem drive me. Now, granted, I'm an engineer at heart, so I'm not going to get, kind of blocked. Like I will be able to kind of just go as deep as I let it, but I do put a fence around the use case I'm solving for. And that's why I like GitHub projects, because GitHub projects have boundaries. It's not like me building something in my own head, which is like this app I just built. Like I could go on forever adding like cool new things to it. And I was like, thank goodness we landed. And I was like, okay, I have to stop. But it was like every time I did something, I'm like, oh, I could do something else. So that's how I learned Alexa. I went to GitHub and I built any project on natural language. And back then we didn't have like, these kinds of models. We didn't really have that many applied models. You were basically like taking algorithms and training them yourself, using supervised and unsupervised models. It was very much like learning Python. But yeah, so I try to use business use cases to put a little box around how deep I go on a problem. And that serves me well because when I build for that use case, let's say I go build a financial advisor, I very much say now I know how to build financial applications because I built that. And if I can't say it, like you maybe build one and you're like, I can't say it. I just built one. Then build 5 or 100. I built 100 apps on Alexa for a reason. I wanted to be able to tell someone like with no doubt in my mind that I knew how to do that. And for me, it was 100, which is sad. It just says something about my self-confidence, honestly, because men in my team, they built one and they're like, I'm a rock star. There are people in AI now that don't build anything and they say they're rock stars. And I have to build 600 applications to feel confident. But whatever that is, right? Like, so I use GitHub as kind of a confidence builder and then certification. So I get certified on entry-level certs for Microsoft, Google, and Amazon. And those, again, it's less for the outside world and more just for me, where I'm like, I did that. That's cool. I built 15 apps and I got 3 certs. And like, I can now speak with a different level of confidence when I walk into a room or, interview for a job. Like, yeah, there's nothing like that kind of confidence. And you don't need like client work to get that confidence. You could just build. So hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah, that's so helpful. Thank you so much. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Who's next?
Yeah.
Arti or
Artie.
Ramya?
Hi, yes. Hey, Noelle.
Hey.
So good to see you. And I echo everything that Donna said. Your energy is just so infectious. You're made of something else. And this, I'm so glad to be part of the AI Leadership Institute. I mean, it's a God's gift to me. I just found you. So yeah, my extreme gratitude to you, Uvika, Padmini. You're building something beautiful. It's a
Yes.
legacy I'm sure you're going to leave behind. So I came across this phrase called, which is stuck in my mind, called the unemployable founder. I came
Oh my
across
gosh, I totally
this-
resonate with that.
yeah. And I'll tell you, Noel, having spent 17 years as a corporate citizen, that just spoke to me. That's what I want to do in my future, is to become an unemployable founder.
Yes.
But what would your recommendation be on how to leave that safety net, that golden cage, and
Yes.
fly out to be this unemployable founder? What would be your top 3 things?
Oh my gosh,
Someone
such a
like
good
me
question.
who's in mid-career.
Yeah,
How
so
did
I
that
can
feel?
tell you again, I'll tell you exactly what I did. And I had the golden handcuffs. So my last contract with Accenture was a seven-figure contract. So that was hard. It's hard to like, how are you gonna start a company? Like start a company and make seven figures? Like you can't. You're literally handcuffed to that solution. Now, the good news is people are, they're maybe involuntarily being pushed into a position of transition, which gives them a chance to make this decision. But the first thing I'd say is start, right? Whatever it is, you start it. So, AI Leadership Institute started in 2015 as an idea that I had that I just wanted. I had so much fun delivering executive briefings for executives that I was like, could I just do this for a living? Like, because I was selling. So, and I was influencing hundreds of millions of dollars, eventually billions of dollars. In 2018, I did like a little under a billion. And in 2019, I passed $1 billion in revenue as an engineer, which means I didn't get paid for that. Like I got zero money. I got a little glass plaque that stares at me and reminds me that I'm more than that. But I got a cool performance excellence award as an engineer. But I realized like that's a valuable skill because I am driving massive value. So if you know what that value is, start in whatever capacity you can. Maybe as you meant, maybe it's writing, maybe it's doing videos, maybe it's, like who knows? Maybe it's teaching a class. But whatever it is, maybe it's helping nonprofits, right? Maybe it's helping churches on the weekend. I don't know. But you start super small and then the most important thing though is to kind of build some frameworks into what you're doing. So for years, I had this idea of I wanted to teach AI to executives. Right after my time at right during my time at Alexa, I was like, everyone needs to know this, but not everyone needs to know AI. Everyone needs to know how to safely do this, right? You can't just jump in like it's gonna kill you. Your business is gonna die. Like, let me help you do this safely. I used to always say, the most common question I would get is, how do I not get fired using this stuff? And that kind of was my idea of the AI Leadership Institute is that, but you just have to pick it. So whatever that domain is, pick it and then put a little box around what kind of value you can deliver for in your spare time. The next most important thing I did is I scheduled it out. So every week I'd schedule time on my business. And so I built a LinkedIn page. I had no website, no domain, though I'd grab the domain if I had to do it over again. But I had no domain. I just created a LinkedIn page, a company page. The company didn't even exist. But like when you create the company page, now like there's no humans associated with that. I mean, obviously it's attached to your profile, but when people come to that company page, they don't see you. They just see the company. So people would start sending me messages and asking me to do things. And I'm like, I'm working for IBM. I'm working for Accenture. I can't even take that job. But it gave me confidence to know. And here's the best part about the second, the last thing I mentioned about knowing people. As you connect with people in these interim days, right, you can become the super connector. So though you are maybe golden handcuffed to your job, you're going to still take those roles, still take those opportunities that come to you, but you're going to then hand them off to people and be like, oh, I can't do that for you right now, but this person over here can do it. And when you start doing that, this reciprocity gets built over time. People are like, oh my gosh, you're so amazing. What can I do to help you? Vishen said this to me. He's like, what can I do to help you? You've helped us. What can I do to help you? And I would tell you, be ready for that question. Because I was not ready. When he asked me, I was like, I don't know, like invite me over. And he did. He invited us. He paid for us to go to Amsterdam. He invited our whole family, all my kids, all six kids. They did not go, but he invited us. But yeah, so be ready when people ask you, what can I do for you? And then the other thing is just thinking about monetization as soon as possible. I think every founder that's in my position, but certainly me, I monetized way later because I just didn't feel right asking for money from people. And it's hard because you will love what you do, and it's even harder to ask for money when you love what you do. But it doesn't mean you don't get paid for it. And that's the gap between the golden handcuffs is that they're paying you already, but if you actually have the courage to ask for what this value that you offer, it will even out. So make a plan. So there's what's called $1 million math. I don't know if I ever told you about it, but $1 make a plan on how much money you actually need in order to get out. Like you should know that number right now. Figure out what that number is, put it on a post-it, stick it to your monitor, look at it every single day, and write down like what is it going to take to make that money? Like it's maybe and I think I did this with Padmini. You basically take that number and you break it down to every single like what do you need to make every day, and it'll be like whatever it is, $1,000 a day, $4,000
You
a
said
day.
every minute, actually.
Oh yeah, it was every minute. And the reason I say that is because you want to have this very crystal clear understanding of what your time is worth. And so if somebody calls you and is like, hey, let's shoot the breeze, or hey, can I pick your brain? You want to know, you want to look at this post-it and go, okay, so for every minute I spend with you, this is how much money I'm losing, right? I'm not putting that effort, that time towards my future self. And we're just, as I should say, I'm terrible at it. I throw time away all the time. So I'm very, very careful as I can be with how I spend my time. Like I want to either be growing other people, right? Like it's all very intentional. I don't like to, like, I don't doom scroll on TikTok. Because I just know like every minute I have, and you know, the older you get, the more real that is. But yeah, so that's my little tips is to like start right away, but identify a number, and in the interim, start creating those relationships where you actually are going to be seen in the eyes of the people you're helping. You're going to be seen as the person who helped them, but you maybe aren't the one who delivers it. So create a network of people. I mean, that looks like, how do you think, like I created the AI Leadership Institute and it's all other people. I mean, I hope to not ever have to do any of the work in that company. I hope
Amazing.
Uvika and Padmini and Sky and everybody in there will be teaching for me, and it would be amazing. But yeah, hold the vision.
Thank you so
Superb
much.
advice, as always.
Thank you.
Who else is next?
Ramya, yeah, Ramya.
I see. Yes, I see you next, Ramya. How are you?
Hey Noel. So first of all, I've seen, I've been following you for a few weeks, for months, and I've seen your TED Talks.
Oh, good. Yay.
I have seen your TED Talks, and I'm so thankful to Padmini and Uvika to bring you here. I mean, you have such a vibrant personality, and this is a women-led community, and we need to hear voices like you. I mean, absolutely amazing. You're just so absolutely amazing. I
Thank
I,
you.
I wish there's a part two for this.
Oh, of course there will be. That's all you had to say. There might not have been, but you just made it happen. Thank you.
So my question was similar to what Aarti had, and I'm so glad she asked that question. And you touched upon monetization and all that. So at some point, you mentioned that working hard in the corporate world and how you navigated from the corporate world to being a founder, and you started voicing your opinions. So what was that turning point that led to that transformation of yours from the Noel that we see today?
Yes. Okay. So I will tell you something that I didn't really realize was a thing, but I became friends with the product marketing team in every company that I worked for. And at first it was an accident, but then it became very intentional. And granted, I'm a tech person working I'm an engineer in a tech company. So if you're working in tech, it's easier, but it doesn't matter. Like whoever the marketing team is, because they are desperate for people who are willing to share the story of the company. Like they're looking for storytellers. The future right now, people are buying from companies that they trust, that have a face of the company. So you have an opportunity to be like, hey, I'll just do a webinar if you want, or I can create content for you. They will be your best friend. But the benefit of that is that you will get practice honing your voice. And I mean, the first 4 years of my company, all of my money came from speaking. And the first, I guess, from 2015 to 2022, I wasn't allowed to like speak and work at the same time. So I was always pushing the edge. As a matter of fact, I think that's why Accenture, my boss at Accenture, who hired me, got very upset with me. Like she was just like, you can't do that. It's against the rules. And I'm like, show me the rule. And she couldn't show me the rule. And then she's like, why don't we just agree to disagree and you just leave? And I was like, okay. Um, but speaking is such a powerful way to not only build your brand, but also just hone your voice. And I don't know that I didn't know this when I was younger, that I could get paid to speak. And the earlier you start getting paid, and it doesn't matter what it is, they could just pay your expenses to start. I think I started first with them paying my expenses. No, first I started working for product management teams in my companies. So I didn't get paid at all, I guess. But then I got paid, like my husband and I got flown places. And then after that, they gave me $500 as an honorarium. And then I got to 3,500, and then I got to 7,500, and then an agency came and said, "We'll double your rate." So then 15. And I don't know if you know, I created a goal for myself. Do you know Pat Riley? He's like a coach. And
Yes.
so Pat Riley gets paid 25K for a speaking session. I was like, I will have made it when I make more money than Pat Riley. And that happened last year. So I'm like, done.
Amazing.
But I feel like we don't, like I wouldn't restrict how you might be able to release yourself from these golden handcuffs. But the most important thing though is being able to talk about what you do. Like that's how you're going to sell stuff. That's how people are going to find you. Even if you just talk to a camera, like it is the most, who was it? Warren Buffett. He's like, your net worth goes up 50% just by learning how to communicate out loud to people about what you do and how you do it. And it's so true. Like I'll make, I don't know, 1.2 million this year just speaking. Just speaking. And I've been doing this a long time. No one paid me that before. I just realized, Mind Valley, all those people get paid like 50 grand. I was like, I need to raise my fees. But like, and that's accessible to every single one of us because the reason they're paying me is for my lived experience. That's it. They're not paying me because I'm smart or what, I do have a good career history, but they mostly just think what I'm saying is interesting and I like what I do. And I think there's not enough of us telling the truth. So anyway, but yeah, so I would say definitely look into speaking. I think there was something else I wrote down that I wanted to share with you about that. Oh yeah, the product management thing. And then the other thing is so one of the other projects that I did is I just started doing hackathons. So I did in 2 years, I did over 100 hackathons where I would just show up. And I'm an engineer, but I'm not like I could build something by myself engineer. I'm like a Google engineer, right? Where like if you give me a problem, I could Google it, I could copy and paste code, I can definitely debug, but I'm not a creative in that way. But I was very good at documenting and like organizing and project planning. So I ended up winning a lot of hackathons back in the day. But that's another way to really like start figuring out what do you love to do so that you'll have fun. You might even make some money. But most importantly, it'll help you hone that skill and your employer won't be like, hey, oh yeah, okay. And the last thing, and then Evan, it's all you. If you get a new job, and this goes for all of you, there is an addendum at the end of your employment contract. It's in all of them. I didn't see it until like my 8th job or something. It is called Schedule A. It's a Schedule A.
Yes.
Yes. So the Schedule
I've seen
A,
those.
it's blank when you get it and you don't know to fill it in. But this Schedule A at the back of the contract, it says, is there anything that you own that you want to keep when you leave here, right? Like when this ends, because in your employment contract, it says anything you do that's not in Schedule A, we own. Meaning if you speak, write a book, build content, write papers, they can own the IP of that because you were in their employment, unless you write it on this page. I will tell you, it's kind of like an affirmation. I wrote all sorts of stuff and I had not built it yet. I wrote like AI for marketers, AI for this, AI for that, all these courses that I was going to build. I hadn't built them yet, but I was like, but if I do build them, you guys are not going to own those. So I put all of it, every domain I ever owned. So I think it's a really great exercise to dream about what you want to do and then just write it on that contract. So that way, no matter what happens, A, you've already told yourself you're going to do those things. But B, you might actually do them in your spare time. And you do not want your company to be like, hey, you can't do that because you built it on our time. And they will not even know that most people never fill in this page on the contract. They won't even read it. And when they say, hey, you built this thing and you go, actually, I wrote it into my contract, they'll be like, no, you didn't. And then they'll go look and be like, holy crap, you did. So that's
Don't
really
be
important.
afraid. Yeah, don't be
be-
scared. You have the right to call the shots.
Yes. And they won't. So many of us, like as women, we think maybe it's not just women, but like we think they're going to rescind the offer or we think they're going to say no. And I'm like, they're so desperate for us. Honestly, if you have an offer in your hand, they need you, and they're not going to say no because you want to own your own IP. Like, but a lot of us are too scared. But yeah, that's one of the things I learned, and it has served me so well in my career. All right, Evan, what's up? Good to see you. Thank you for waiting.
No, thank you. I mean, I didn't want to rush you. I love every word
I
you
know. I'm
say.
like, wait, one more. No.
But two things. Number one, everyone should read your book, and I want you to sign my book. That's one.
Absolutely.
Okay. And number two, Noelle, Deloitte, Palantir, Microsoft, they have this new trend that a lot of people here don't know called the forward deployed engineer. And they're putting a lot of AI people in the forward deployed engineer. And most of us here are engineers. And we're looking at it like, well, I'm already a forward deployed engineer, and we're not. So they're expecting engineers, traditional, to
Yes.
sit with the
Yes.
sit with the customer service people and the product marketing,
Yes.
and not just do immediate solutions, but long-term solutions. We don't
Yes.
know how to do that. How can you tell us how to quickly become forward deployed engineers so we can
Did I pay you to
get
ask
ready
this
for the
question?
next stage?
Such a good, I mean, it's like I feel like I asked you to ask me this. So literally tomorrow, is it tomorrow? So literally tomorrow, we are teaching the AI Solutions Architect certification. And it's literally this idea of how do you take, I personally love it. Like I love being a builder that can actually build on demand for my customers. And this is kind of going back to the earlier question on like, how do I not get lost in like the overwhelm of like building and like drowning and going into this rabbit hole of building stuff? Um, these solution architecture frameworks are really critical, but it is a unicorn skill set, which is why it is a bit unfair to ask all engineers to do this because Microsoft has built these forward deployed engineers before and then laid them off because they're like they're not valuable. And that's where the MVP program came from, right? Because that's literally what the MVP program is it's a bunch of except they don't have to pay them. Right? We don't get paid. We get paid in, like an MVP little statue. So it's interesting to me because another word for them is developer advocate, right? Or dev relations, right? Like it's people who are going to sit there and help someone go from a pre-sales conversation to post-sales and implementation. It's actually even harder because you have to write the check and cash the check, which is usually that's a lot. It's a lot to do, but it is two magic skill sets. So it's knowing how to build, but then also knowing how to communicate, but not just communicate, like persuasively communicate, like be a seller. Like you have to sell them on the solution that you're designing. So deep expertise in actually building the right solution, as well as deep expertise in persuading, communicating, executive communication. And so, yeah, so I actually, have you seen my 21 Laws of AI Solution Architecture?
Not yet. No.
I'll send it to you.
I would
I'll
like
send
to
it to
see
you.
that.
It's very good. So it's one of those things, and I'll encourage you all to do this. Like if you ever wake up with one of those ideas, so I woke up with an idea about this, and I just started writing, and I ended up with I think like 28 or something like that. But John Maxwell is a leader that
Right.
writes like tons of books, and he has a bunch of books that are like 21 laws of blah blah blah, and I was like, I better make it 21. So I cut it down to 21. But they're all like these like principles that I do every single time I'm in a conversation. And now I'm whether they want it or not, I always bring engineering into the conversation. And it actually builds confidence because they're so used to getting sold by sellers that don't know what the end looks like, right? They're getting oversold, overpromised. When you're a forward deployed engineer, you get to actually write the check and cash it. So it's good, it's hard, but it's a great place to be. It's also extremely profitable because it's like there's a reason Microsoft and Palantir specifically because they've got a lot of trust to build, right, with the people that are investing in their technology. And Microsoft's the same way, I think. But yeah. So I will send that over to. I'll send it to all of you. But it's a very quick book. There's like I don't know, a paragraph or two per law. But just a couple of them is like one of them is be the most positive person in the room, and that's like y'all say. A lot of people say that about me, but like it's 100% intentional. I guarantee you, if you saw me 40 minutes before this, so my kids made a fort and unicorn sheets. I was laying in the fort on a pillow. Was not like the most excited person. But then I came here and I was like, all right, we got this. Like, let's go. You got to turn it on, right? Like you make it, you set an intention. And so that's what a lot of these laws are about is like, who do you need to be in the room? And it's a lot. But if you love the things, if you love being an engineer, if you love serving people, if you love building, if you love providing solutions, you will become that unicorn that they're looking for. And I do think I think that this community, I mean, that's exactly what we are. You might not feel like you know enough engineering yet, or you might not know the right tools. But in my opinion, I feel like that's exactly what communities like this are all about.
Noelle, I dropped the Google link for it, but I
Oh,
don't know
good.
if you've updated it since. Is that the right one? People probably.
Let me scroll down. Let me scroll. Oh, yeah. I don't know. I think so. Let me click. I don't think I updated it.
Okay. All
Oh,
right.
yeah. That
Okay.
looks good. That looks good. Thank you. Perfect. But normally I would put this on a landing page and get all your
Yeah.
emails and then email you 8 times a day to make sure that
Oh,
we
sorry if I messed with that.
We'll send the link,
No,
Noelle.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
We'll get everyone's email here and send it to
no,
you.
no, no. I'm telling you more as a tool, right? Like when you give something away, give it away in a way that allows people to create a connection with you. Like that's part of an opportunity that you have. Like
Sure.
you're all my friends. I can find you all. I'm not worried about that. I'm just saying, like when you give away a PDF, just put it behind, get their email address. You could just reach out to them. It's part of the attention, right? Like the only way to pay attention to someone is to know who they are, get their email address, send them an email, find out their birthday, like that's part of the deal. So don't let any opportunity pass you by. If you build something amazing and then give it away for free, but just say, hey, I want to know you. I want you on my list. Join my newsletter, whatever. So yes, good. Thank you for that. Cool. So yeah, if you click on that, you can scan through the table of contents. I can't see that for nothing, but it's very small on my screen. But it looks good. Oh yeah, here we go. Let me see if there's any other ones. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. These are so good. These are like my life lessons. Document everything. So many times I would build something. I'm like, I'm never going to build this again. And I would have to build it. And then even then I'd be like, I'm never going to build it again. And I would I would do it 3 or 4 times before I'm like, for goodness sakes, just write it down. Learning from failure, open source. Oh my gosh. Yeah. The value of open source. That's like GitHub, using GitHub as a tool. Yeah, there's such good stuff in here. So I wrote this, as many of you probably have done. Like you wake up, you get this idea, and it was just like, like everything that was in my brain ended up on a piece of paper. I did no editing, is raw. So anyway, there's a reason I don't sell it. But it's good. It's good content. It's good content. But yeah, definitely take a look at the book. We are going to do a book club. We're going to do an author-led book club in the AI Leadership Institute as well, where we're going to go chapter by chapter. So that way I could tell you my philosophy on the things that I wrote. Also what I was asked to take out because it didn't have all the things. But at the end of every chapter, and so what my vision, you guys are gonna laugh at me. My vision when I wrote this book was I wanted to at any time be able to like stop on any page and someone could read it and be like, that's valuable. So that was like my metric, is like I wanted to make sure every single page had something where you could be like this one, identify roadblocks early. Yes, data quality issues. Yes, like you would open it anywhere and be like, oh, let me keep reading. So one of my other friends who's an author, he can do that with his books and he's got 9 of them. And I was like, I want to do that. It's very hard, by the way. I wish I hadn't done that to myself. But at the end of every chapter are these questions. And some of my favorite books are like that. And so as a matter of fact, we're hopefully finishing a book soon.
Yeah.
Not meaning to bring it
No.
up, but we are writing a book on custom GPTs. The thing keeps changing. It's not my fault.
I know. We have to meet on that, Noelle.
Yeah, we do really, for
Yes.
real. We really do. I
And-
commit to. We were
Yeah. And
We
Donna.
have to
we're writing
finish
this
it
book.
before end of the year.
Yes, and at the same time, so I did this to ourselves where I was like, we have to put questions at the end of the book, and now those questions have become my arch nemesis. Where I'm like, do we really need these questions? But it's cool. Yeah,
We'll get to it. Donna,
yes,
thank
it's
you.
happening. It's happening. I
Yes.
can't believe it's already August, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
Dang it. Any other questions or comments? I'm so glad. Thank you for
Yeah,
letting me
no,
schedule
Donna had
you
a
for this
question,
call.
Noelle, for
Oh,
you.
good.
Well,
I'm
I,
sorry.
I just really had a statement because I write a lot of contracts. So if you're going to be employed, doing the Schedule A and writing everything out is good. But if you're going to be an independent contractor, another way to um, approach that is to ask whoever you're going to be independent contractor for just to limit the contract to that project.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
And
I think we were talking about employment contract, but yeah,
yeah,
100%.
yeah,
Yes, I
yeah.
agree.
So,
Cool.
and I would say this, strip out the contract and then you can pull it through AI to find out like what your rights are,
Yes, that
and
is brilliant.
yeah, yeah. So I think especially since your value is so high, like you may not think you know anything, but I guarantee you that you know more than the people who are hiring you. So your
Yes,
value is great. Your
yes,
value is great. And so, that's just what I want to say is if you're going to be an independent contractor, you really want to work for people who value what you know.
that's true.
And so
I
just the
love that. And I actually, because I didn't have this option, ChatGPT did not exist. I've not gotten another job since that happened. Um, but I love the idea of like me, I'm like manually doing this. But yeah, you could totally take your employment contract and put it in ChatGPT and be like, tell me what I should be worried about here. And then most
right.
importantly, how do I protect my ideas and my future work and let it guide you on how to act. So I love that. That is a great, great idea.
Indemnification, liability
Yes, yes.
cap,
Yeah,
just,
and like moonlighting, like all these little sneaky things they stick in there. That's a great, great, great.
yeah. But just, for privacy purposes, strip it,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then make sure that whatever GPT you're putting it through, whatever AI, LLM system that you have, it's not like just a public one, that you have your
Right. For
privacy
sure.
setting. So anyway,
No,
that's all I wanted to
absolutely.
say. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. No, that's 100% true. Yes, I often I can't ever state enough that really just pay 20 bucks and not train a public model on your personal data. I mean, I'm working now with like Mind Valley. Mind Valley just deployed 2 models. Another company called 10X Health, they just deployed a model. And okay, I'm going to tell you this, and it's very scary. I think Uvika and Padmini, or maybe it was just Padmini. Oh, I can't remember, but I just signed a contract with a very large healthcare company. And literally in the process of me signing this contract, the leader that I was hiring me was like, I love all the things you do. Think you're awesome. I want you to come and do this work for us. But I could care less about responsible AI. I don't want you to talk about it. I don't want you to build for it. All I want is results. And I literally had like this visceral reaction where I was like, I'm not sure what to do right now. And it's funny because the person who put me on that call was like, he's intense. That's what they say about these people. Like, he's intense. And I was like, this is what he meant. So it was really hard. Like, I was in one of those, at Amazon, I would call them throw your badge down moments where you like hold your badge and you're like ready to just be like, and I hadn't even been hired yet. And I was like, what am I going to do? But I realized like that is literally like this whole attention concept. Like that is whether he wants it or not, it's going to be responsible because you don't hire me to build irresponsibly. Like it's woven into the DNA. And that's part of what I do is that you won't even know it. Like you won't, okay, great. I won't tell you, but it definitely will be responsible. It will definitely have, I will build LLMs as a judge. I will build I will use the AI red teaming agent that Microsoft provides that you bought as a company. But I was shocked because they are a massive, massive healthcare company. And to have one of their senior leaders tell me to my face and almost like, stop with the nonsense, Noelle. I was just like, I couldn't believe it. And I literally in my mind was like, maybe I'm supposed to, is this where I say no? Like, do you just say you don't work for people like that? But then I said, if I don't do this and I will build responsibly anyway, who else, like, who comes next? Right. Like, and that person absolutely might be like, no problem. Great. No regulation. It's a free for all. Like, oh my gosh, what a disaster. So yeah, so I signed that contract, but it scared me. I've never heard anyone say it so bluntly, like, just get me results. I don't care about responsibility. That's not my job. That's what he said. It's not my job to be responsible.
That's very,
Heaven
oh my
help
God.
us all. Heaven
I
help us all.
know. It's
So you
like,
all
but
need to get
it's,
into this
yeah.
field and deliver
Yes.
these values. We need you now more than ever. So if you were on the fence about getting into these conversations and being in the room, yeah, we desperately need you.
And we know just one form of AI, responsible AI,
Yeah,
right?
that's it. There's no other way.
Exactly. Exactly. Like, it was very bizarre. And it's funny because after he told the person who put me on the call, he's like, I loved her. Her energy was so great. And I was like, if you only knew. I was like, the whole time, I'm like, you are such a, anyway, I can't.
Mm.
I was not happy, but we'll see how it goes because I just signed it. It's a 2-week contract. He was like, we could put you on retainer. I'm like, we'll see how it goes. But I do think like this is exactly where we're needed, you know, like I can't say no because if I say no, he will build a responsibility. So I almost feel convicted now to do this work.
To change the world.
Change the world. Yes. Like for goodness sakes, healthcare. Oh my gosh. So just so you know, it's real out there. Like they need us now more than ever. We are accelerating. Agentic is accelerating, and people do not even know what they're building anymore. Like they're assembling systems that talk to each other, and they don't even know what they do. So let's do it. Let's do it together.
Thank you so much, Noelle. And you know, all of us can be on this call and keep talking.
I know.
Yes, but yes, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for your time.
Thank you for
And you know,
asking the
oh
questions.
my God, yeah. And
I don't
Noelle,
want it
thank
to
you
end.
for, you know, speaking
Yes.
to us. It's just amazing.
It's just,
Yeah.
yeah, amazing. And thank you so much. We'll let you get back, to your family, and grateful to everybody for staying for so long. And
Yes, y'all are amazing. Amazing.
thank you. And we'll see you in the Alley Institute on Friday.
Yes. See you soon. All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
Have a great
you.
evening. Bye.
Bye.